we're focused on the odds of an East Palestine type disaster happening right here in Pittsburgh. How would we respond? And how can we prevent it from happening? We have the distinct pleasure tonight of having the chief of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Fire since 2007, Darryl E. Jones. He's the emergency management coordinator for the city as well. Chief Jones has a great academic background and decades of leadership experience. As Chief Jones has said, the situation we face is not if, but when a catastrophic derailment happens here. The question before us, as I said, is what can we do to reduce those chances? So now I'm turning it over to Chief Jones.
I'm here today to just discuss with you our preparations for a rail emergency or rail disaster in the city of Pittsburgh. And there was a point in history when we did not believe a black swan existed. It wasn't until the discovery of Australia that the first one was seen. And the effects of that is that it changed our philosophy. It made us realize that there are so many things out there that we don't know. And so as a result of that, philosophers have now referenced certain events as black swan events. And a train derailment falls into that black swan event. And here in the city of Pittsburgh, we've had several black swan events, most notably the Tree of Life shooting, and most recently would be the Fern Hollow Bridge collapse. Some of the history of train derailments. New Brighton, Pennsylvania, on October the 20th, 2006, 23 cars derailed. 9 cars leaked ethanol into the Beaver River, and 100 people were evacuated. I was still living in Aliquippa at the time when this happened, and I heard this explosion from my home in Aliquippa when it occurred in New Brighton, which fortunately no one was hurt. Lac Mégantic, Quebec, these people weren't so fortunate. On July 6th of 2013, a train was left unattended at the top of the hill. The engineer gets off the train. He doesn't set the parking brake. The train drifts down the hill. It derails. 73 cars drifted down the hill. 47 people were killed. 30 buildings were destroyed. And of the buildings that were left, all but 2 had to be demolished. This train was a unit train, and it was carrying crude oil. And of course, there's East Palestine, Ohio. 50 cars derailed. 20 of the cars contained hazardous materials. The most hazardous was the vinyl chloride, and it forced a 1-mile evacuation. So what kind of problems do these things present? Well, the Pittsburgh Department of Public Safety and our administration, the Gainey administration, is looking at this basically from 3 phases. It matches up to this diagram you see here called the disaster life cycle, where mitigation is we're going to try to lessen the impact of a disaster, realizing that we're not going to be able to completely eliminate the possibility. We're going to prepare for it, then we'll respond to it, and then we'll recover from it, and then go right back into mitigation again. That is the way we will handle this. For mitigation, our authority to mitigate trains coming through the city is very, very limited. However, we can ensure speed limits are adhered to for all trains. The hazardous material will always be going through the urban areas. Another thing we can do is help each other, help ourselves, and that's educate the citizens of the risk and how to be prepared. If you were asked to evacuate your home right now due to a disaster or an emergency, where will you go? Preparation. We've identified the common commodities. We've identified the city departments and their roles in the response to and recover from these incidents. There's non-governmental organizations that will have to assist us, the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, and some of the others. We've been quarterly trainings with our hazardous materials team, and we will be ready to respond. And we have an incident management team. The management team consists of people who are not first responders, and their job is to do all the administrative work to free up first responders to get hands-on and to get in the weeds. And this last thing I have here is a class called the G0402, NIMS Overview for Senior Officials class. And the Gainey administration is making preparations to take this class, but they understand their role in the National Incident Management System, that it's their job to set policy and to maintain and equip us so that we can respond. So first thing we're going to do when we respond, we're going to establish a unified command. As I stated earlier, we're going to have our researchers identify the hazardous product. We're going to evacuate the population within a 1/2 mile radius of the incident. That's right off the bat. If there's a fire, we want to protect the exposures. Unlike what happened in East Palestine, the fire takes place in an open area. Okay, here in the city of Pittsburgh, we have neighborhoods butted up against the rails. Residences are butted up against the rails. We need to protect those homes. And then we will try to initiate the recovery. And that means restoring what we call the 7 lifelines that a community must have. Safety and security. People want to make sure there's law and order, that they're safe and they're protected. Food, water, and shelter, making sure that that's put in place. Health and medical services. Energy, making sure your utilities are back up and running. Communications and transportation. We will assist with the cleanup, assist with the investigation, and complete and secure all documentation. And this goes back to that incident management team. Because if you don't have all the paperwork correct, you won't be receiving the reimbursement for the expenditures from either the railroad or the federal government. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all that I have for my portion of it. I am ready to accept any questions, comments, concerns.